And we're back. Hello, everyone. And all of our technical difficulties are now solved. Hopefully you can hear us.
Exactly.
Hopefully
yes.
everything is good.
Hopefully everything is good, yes. So still nothing.
It says still nothing. Wow, that's impressive.
Forgot to flip to sound equals true in audio.yaml. So are we back?
Wait, I actually have sound now. I figured out it was Zoom that was muted is why it was failing.
Okay, so people saying is all good now.
Okay.
Chris, so cool.
Are you sure it's good now?
What was sound okay in YouTube? Okay.
Sound is okay everywhere now.
All right. Andrew says yes. What was the problem? We don't know.
Weird.
Oh wait, I think
no,
Langdon,
I do.
Langdon found
Zoom
it.
itself was muted. Was the problem?
Oh, you muted Zoom.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, well, I didn't. Zoom decided.
Zoom decided.
Oh,
Okay.
Zoom said it was going to mute itself.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
like-
good.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. This reminds me of the and not to make fun of you, Langdon, but I will. It reminds me of like, you know, when you're at the grocery store and they're training a new cashier, and like
that was exactly the goal. That was exactly what I was trying to lower expectations.
So
Good.
and then like
All
the
right.
new and so like, you know, you're sitting there and like you can just obviously tell the trainee is like a little flustered, but like, you know, like everyone's cool, everyone just like understands, right? But like still the trainee is still flustered. So it was kind of a little entertaining, Langdon, to see you in that little, you know, kind of mini panic mode. So it was kind of
Cringy kind of world. Yeah, I've never seen Langdon panic before. Yeah.
So so if for those of you actually who don't know, Langdon is he actually does the Level Up Hour. So he actually does another show. So I don't know if any of you that are on shall watch that show and kind of see we're doing little cross training here. So but that's okay. That's to be expected. And yes.
Well, you know.
You know, eventually we'll get it right, and then Chris can take a vacation finally. You can finally have some time off instead of.
Well, it's going to happen regardless. So
That's gonna. Yeah, someone's gonna need to take over. So
the date is approaching.
The date is approaching.
All
yes.
future happy hours will be from the woods with Chris Short.
Yeah. We're gonna see Chris Short. Yeah, in the woods somewhere, doing the.
I don't know if I can produce this from my iPhone, but we're going to try today.
We're gonna try. Yes, we're gonna try. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining another episode of the GitOps Happy Hour. I understand there's meeting fatigue now. I think they're like or like virtual event fatigue. I know I feel it like everyone else. So I actually do appreciate everyone coming on and tuning into the stream. So
thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.
I
Seriously,
do appreciate it. Yeah, and through the technical difficulties, we still have viewers. So you know, I appreciate
thank you.
that.
Yeah.
Previous, you know, I'm doing this GitOps Happy Hour, and like the first one was really just to kind of level set, like, you know, demystifying GitOps. What's GitOps? You know, what do I need to know, right? So, and for those of you who didn't watch it, go ahead and you know, after the stream you can watch it. But GitOps is essentially you store everything in Git, right? And it's basically operations by pull request. Everything is in Git. And your cluster syncs everything from this Git repository. So the first thing though is like, okay, well, I'm going to store everything in Git. I'm going to be, you know, storing all my cluster manifests in Git, all my deployment manifests in Git. And, but like you start noticing it's like, wow, I'm really duplicating a lot of YAML, because it's like, I have YAML, you know, this deployment YAML is going to be everywhere. The same deployment YAML is just basically everywhere. And one of the things that some people come to realize really quickly is, okay, like, how do I stop duplicating all this YAML, right? And so I decided to take a very, you know, very, very simple use case, and like basically just start like, how would I build you know, a deployment, I guess, Git repo, and me not having to you know, duplicate so much YAML, right? And I'm going to we talked about in the first episode the different templating engines, right? Customize is the one I'm going to be using.
Right. Yeah.
It's very, really popular. Helm, I guess, is the other reigning champion. There's also KSonnet and other things like that, but I think those are like the two big ones.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got the bases covered there.
Yeah. So like, yeah, well, Customize or Helm is, yeah, you basically have all bases covered there. I'm going to be using Customize because
that's your preference.
What I learned
yeah,
is what I use.
You know.
Is what I know. If someone is Well, someone says case on it died. Yeah, well.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's
cloud native ecosystem. Not everything can live.
That's right. There's going to be some drop offs, right? Yeah. If there's anyone on the chat or anyone else that has done stuff with Helm, I would love for you guys to chime up, get your opinions here. I'm gonna attempt to share my screen. That as far as today is going, that may or may not break things. We don't know.
Oh gosh.
So everyone,
do I need to go find like some wooded animal to sacrifice?
Yeah, that's right. We need like
I'm telling you, it's the good luck problem. You know,
it's like, yeah.
Right.
You can't ever say good luck. It's usually bad luck.
Yeah. Did somebody chime in our channel and say like good luck to us today?
Yeah. There was a question in the channel. I don't know if you want to get to that or if you want to come back to it later. It was WSH, you know,
Shari,
Waleed, yeah.
How do you deploy the cluster? And Argo CD is not up yet and needs a cluster.
Yeah, I guess that's a good topic for another episode. But Argo really, although I'm going to be using Argo is not the ideal tool for that, right? You can make it work. You could do things like use Tecton and do pipelining to where Tecton can fire up something like OpenShift Hive, where it'll spin up a cluster for you, or you have some sort of a kubeadm process that'll spin up a cluster for you, or whatever, right? Whatever automation process. But that's like, and then use Argo CD to sync all of that for you. But that's not really Argo CD's job, right? Argo CD doesn't install or instantiate a cluster for you, right? It's purely for deployment purposes. So with that said, cross whatever fingers, toes, whatever.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah.
Whatever you'd like here. The thing is, I don't know which. So hopefully this is it. I don't know.
Green button. The big green button.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my desktop 3, which is usually this one. You should see a Twitch directory.
It's a little small. Blow it up though.
I'll blow it up a little bit. Nope, that is the wrong window. Okay.
There you go.
A little bigger like that. Is that good? Good enough? Yeah. Good enough for a ton this size?
Works for me.
And then my repo, right? So
that's tiny.
This is tiny as well. Okay. Let's make it a little bigger.
Thank you.
Too big?
The viewers love you.
All right, let's go to 125, and if anyone complains.
It's not complaining.
If anyone
accommodating people's needs.
if anyone would like me to accommodate further, then how about that?
There you go. Have another drink.
Have another drink. It's one of those days, man.
Dude, one of those weeks. Tell me about it.
It's been a long week for me. So
a long week. Like we had last Friday off here at Red Hat, and like
we had a recharge day, right?
We had a recharge day, and it felt like a lot of people did not get that recharge. It's like something happened to everybody on that day.
Something happened to everyone. It's just been one of those, man. I don't know if it's because the Halloween's coming up or whatever, but all right. So I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be doing is I have a simple deployment, right? So I have an application that when you pass a color to it, it'll just display it. I kind of lied a little bit there, so I'll go back. It takes either blue or green, so not any color. It's an app that I use to show blue-green deployment, and I have the manifests off to the side here. But really, what I want to go through is going like from the beginning, right? Like how do I start? Like I'm just starting basically from the ground up. I'm going to be going a new repository. Right, so we're literally going from nothing. Let's call this test. Oops. Let's call this test ops. How about that? Everything with ops, right? Test ops. Twitch. Testing. Right. Public. Fine. I'll add a README. I'm gonna delete it anyway. But you didn't need to know. All right, so I start. What my goal is this is going to be a deployment repository. So the application is already built. This is just how I'm going to deploy it, right? So we talked about having separating your repos to where you have your application code in one repo, you have its deployment artifacts in another repo, and all the infrastructure components is in yet another repo. So so let's get to it. What I'm going to be doing here is, let me do a tmux. And then what's my, I always change my binding and hopefully I have it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do is I'm going to git clone this guy, test ops. Come on. Do I power go out again? No? Okay.
Oh God, no, please don't.
Yeah, so like, I think now I'm going to invest in a UPS, like you said.
I got a good recommendation.
So
it's the best UPS you can get. That's not like super crazy.
Like APC or something.
It's not APC. It's I forget the brand. It sits upright, so it's like space saving.
Does it have enough juice to keep all of your servers
going? Like 2 of these things powers my R820 for 30 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty good. So,
yeah.
I'll send you a link, Christian.
Cool. All right.
Hopefully it won't be defective like the last thing you
the last thing you see. it's a learning thing, right? Okay,
yeah,
so let's get this little, I don't know how, let's see if it shows up. What I'm going to be doing, I don't want to move the window. Hello. It's just one of those days. Escape. Here we go. All right. Up there, I want test ops. Right. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to create a directory called apps or app, right? So this is where the app's going to come. And I think, yeah, let me go back over here. Make this little. All right. So you see, like on the left-hand side, you're going to start seeing the tree as I build it, right? So on the left-hand side, you're going to see app, right? It's like the top, you see the top level directory, and then I just created app. So there's the application. So I'm going to cd into app. And so for those of you who don't have, that haven't used Kustomize, there's this, what do you call it? So there's this concept of a base, right? So there's like, you'll see a lot of people who have customized directory structures is like they'll have a base. Although base in terms of like in the YAML is deprecated, but I still like to use the base concept because it just makes sense to me, right? It's like this is the base configurations. This is meaning that these YAMLs are going to be applied like to all my clusters, right? So this is like my base, and where all the
all your base are belong to us.
All my YAMLs going to live right here. Or most of my deployment YAMLs are going to be here.
All your
so
YAML
KDR, all your not base like that, but base like that. It's like not base. How low can you go? Yeah. So you notice like keep track of the left hand side, right? So I thought this would be all right. So the first thing when you run Kustomize, the first thing it looks for is a customization.yaml file. This YAML file basically dictates what it reads in and what it does, right? It's see if I spell it right. How about I just copy and paste it? So let's vim this guy, and vim and set it. So here, resources, right? So you get resources, and essentially you're just going to list the YAMLs that you want loaded in. So you have things like namespace.yaml, right? And we're going to have to name these things accordingly. Deployment.yaml, service.yaml, and then route, right? Route. So like these are like the basic components of an application, right? You have a namespace, deployment, service, and a route. Kind of straightforward, right? And so
route or ingress in the case
ingress, right? Yeah. Whatever floats your fancy.
Whatever you want to use is fine.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Yeah, right. Like if some people, you know, if you have an ingress, OpenShift will read that and apply it anyway. So, so here I have app base and then customize. Let me move this a little bit. Oops, not move window. What is it? Ooh. There we go. Customization. You may or may not need
placement for bases.
Base. Okay, so then let me clear that. In the customization file, I have namespace, right? So let's create that guy. And then because this is a cooking show, and I don't think you want me to just write YAML
all day.
All day writing YAML.
You're not a calendar-driven YAML engineer?
No. Yeah. Yeah, so like when you fill out these the applications for a job, you're gonna put like languages, you know, right? Like YAML is gonna be one of them, right?
Like if it was a word cloud, it'd be like YAML would be the biggest word.
Yeah.
It'd be like right in the middle. YAML.
I know YAML. So cool, namespace, BGD. The reason I call it BGD because it's my blue-green deployment application. Nice. So cool. Straightforward, simple.
Yeah, that's very.
All right, and then I'm going
Chinese and YAML-ish, says Waleed. Languages, Chinese and YAML-ish.
YAML-ish, yeah. I'm known to make a mistake or two in YAML.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm just copying and pasting this here. So this is a standard deployment, right? This shouldn't be if you've been around Kubernetes long enough, OpenShift long enough, this is just it starts to blur, starts to look the same, right?
Yeah, everything kind of it's templates, it's specs, it's that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole 9 yards. Yeah.
JSON path is another thing, another language, right, that you have to know. So I just wanted to call the attention line 27. I have a value, actually 26 and 27, right? 26, 27, right? I have an environment variable color, and the value, this application takes blue and it'll show you a blue square, or green, it'll show you a green square. Any other value, it'll just show you a blue square. But here I have a value called patch me, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to take this base YAML file and apply it to different clusters. And depending on the cluster I'm at, I'm going to do something different. So one cluster I'm gonna have blue, and another cluster I'm gonna have green, but we're just gonna have one version of this YAML file, right? So this is kind of where customize and templating becomes very powerful, especially if you're doing GitOps, right? You're gonna be doing everything in YAML, and so you're gonna need to make sure you're not just like constantly copying the same file over and over again, right? You have one version. And it's easy to take care of. So here, the service, right? Service definition, kind of the, oh, things are slowing down here for me. There we go. It's just been one of those days. So here's my service definition, right? For that application, nothing special here. And then, my last thing is route, right? So let me edit this route. And then in my route definition, which I have prepared here, the thing I want you to draw attention to you guys here is line 10, right? Again, host, patch me, right? I'm in different clusters. And so the FQDN is going to be different depending on which cluster I'm at. So, so this is another thing that I'm going to change. I'm going to have one route definition, but I'm going to change it as I load it in. Right, don't write partial buffer. All right, so if I cat customize and then I do an ls, I have my namespace check, deployment check, service cool, route cool. All right. So that's my base, right? So this is kind of straightforward. There's nothing GitOpsy about this just yet. You could run the customize, and it's basically gonna customize says it'll read this and like, okay, when you call me, I'm gonna load up all these manifests that you told me to load up. So going back here, cd ... We're taking a look at the left-hand side here. You'll see I have app base, and inside that base, I have all my my manifests. I'm going to create another directory. Let's call this blue, right? Because we're going to deploy an application called blue. So, so here on the left-hand side, you see now I have base and then blue in those directories. So let's go to blue. Let's first create a customization file, right? Because we're doing customize.
You know what song pops in my head every time I hear blue-green deployment?
What's that?
The Blues Clues theme song.
The Blues Clues. You do have Max is of that age, right?
Yes. I know.
Chris proves he has children.
That's right. Yeah. So here, for those
Blue Velvet, well, you know.
yeah, exactly.
How dare you give us that earworm?
Yeah, now I have it in my ear. I'll be singing it.
Sorry.
Before here, in other versions, you would have bases, right? And you would just go, base. That's deprecated now. I know, shocker. It still works.
Long URL, Langdon. Good Lord.
But it'll eventually they say they're going to take it away. So I just use this. You just use it under resources. Same idea, right? So when this reads the customization file, it says it'll say, okay, well, read everything in base directory, which is one up. And then it'll read that customization, and then it'll load up all those resources, right? So with this one line, you're loading up all your manifests in this customized file, right? So this next part is Apache Json. And I think I'm just going to copy paste this part because it's really long. And also I might make a typo. So real quick, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a JSON path to patch this. So when I say, okay, when you see the deployment named BGD in the BGD namespace, patch it using this definition, which I'll create up next. Same thing with the route, right? So line 1 says, okay, go up, read the bases, and then that in turn has its own resources list. So it'll load those resources in. When it reads those in, it'll run this patch along with it, right? So you can do all kinds of stuff. So let's take the deployment as an example, right? So let's VI deployment, and then in the deployment, because again, like this is Julia Child, you have a cooking show.
Yeah. I apologize for the comments, folks.
Bad times.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks for trolls.
Yeah. Can't control them, man. Just gonna ignore them or banhammer.
Banhammer. That's all I really.
Just drop a banhammer.
Yeah.
So here, yeah. So let's go back and take a look. So now in this directory, I have the deployment and the customization file. In the customization file, remember I said that when you see this deployment, patch it with whatever you have in this YAML file, right? So I did create that deployment. So let's cap that. And then I'm saying that replace the value of spec template spec containers 0, right? Because it's the first entry and then the first value, right? And I want to have the value equals blue. So if I go to base and do a deployment, right? We can say spec, right? Spec template spec containers, right? Environment variable, the first one, value. We want to replace the value, not a customization, right? Spec template spec containers. So spec template spec containers. So I'm here. The 0, right, which is like the first one, right, because you can have many containers in a pod. And then in the environment, so I'm here in the environment, and then the first one, right, because it's the first, because this is the first one in that map there, and then replace the value, right, and then what the value is, I want to replace it with blue. And then we have another one, right, customization. We have route, right, because I am I'm going to be deploying this in a different cluster. It's going to have a different URL here. So, and then what do I have here? I have apps.cluster1. Yeah, so this should work. We'll see. We're doing it live.
We are doing a lot of stuff live right now.
We're doing a lot of stuff live, yeah.
Sorry.
So we have the, so I'm gonna replace the spec host with blue, right? blue.apps.cluster1, chx.ocloud.com. That's my first cluster. So let's take a closer look at the customization, right? So notice I have that patches.json. So let's go over here and then let's do a customized patches, right? So there's a good, this is here. We'll do some Googling here together, because I found a good reference here. Patching. That's not it. Maybe it's this one.
You had some ideas in the chat as well.
Yes.
Okay. What are people saying in the chat?
Go ahead, Langna.
Oh, sorry. So if you want to delete keys for an entire resource, is that cut off? Oh, is that the one that got borked?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to do a strategic merge patch with retain key strategy?
A strategic? Oh, okay, yeah. So
let's say you want to change a probe from HTTP GET to exec. Yeah.
Yeah. So strategic merge patch. Yes, right. Yeah. So, but what these patches here? So let me actually copy and paste this, because this is a good resource. Here, there's different JSON. There it is.
Ashley McNamara made that logo.
So you have here patches, right? This is the one I was using. There's other ones that you can use, and the other things how you can manipulate the YAML coming in, right? So I'm using replace, right? You can also do merge, right? So you can do strategic merges. You can do, where is it here? Yeah, add, right? So I want to add, like one of my options is add. I want to add to the, like if it's an array, right? Like I want to add to, to the array something or other. I want to replace, there's patch a strategic merge, right? So this is an example here. This I find, and it's the kubectl doc, because if you didn't know, Kustomize is built in to kubectl and by extension OC.
Mm-hmm.
This I found has been the best resource for me to do whatever I need to do with Kustomize, right? There's rarely anything that I can't find here, and whatever I can't find, I usually go to the Kubernetes Slack or whatever, and basically bug the folks there. But this resource here that I put in the chat is probably like the best one, and probably cover like
most of the use cases.
Yeah, most of the use cases. It'll cover most of the things that you want to do. Is probably in this doc. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend reading through that and making sure you know, you can find out what you need there. See here. Yeah, so I was curious how it maps to Helm's delete key option and the new post render flag. Yeah, so I don't know much about creating Helm charts. So that's, I don't know if someone else can chime in there in chat, whoever is, might be a Helm guru. I still need to do, I still need to study on the Helm charts. So
yeah, I like with the Helm and Tiller thing, like I kind of ignored it because I knew they were going to remove it. So
yeah, so yeah, because it's kind of like the whole Tiller thing. A lot of Red Hatters were like, okay, no, we're
so call Andrew is what Walid is saying. So I mean,
yeah.
you know, well, let's see how many of us we can get on the call right now.
Yeah, Andrew drama. So yeah, so that's what I'm basically replacing. If I cat route and then base route. Maybe I should have done it the other way, but so I'm replacing spec host and then patch me. And then the reason I have patch me is because I'm doing a replace. If I did an add, I would have to have that removed. So just the way I did. So that's really all I need, right? If I want to deploy this to a cluster, I'm already set to do that, right? So so let's do that here. Let me get the OC get routes. I'm doing this in another window, so don't. What is the route for Argo? Okay. And I'm using Argo. You don't need to use Argo. You can use you know, whatever sync tool. It's just the Argo is just the easiest for me, is the one I learned on. So there we go. Copy that. I'm gonna need to, okay, and then new tab. So let's do this here. Sorry, my internet's slow. We lost power and I haven't had a chance to go and see what chaos that caused on my network.
No kidding. That's always a fun event here.
Yeah, I know something's messed up, but we're, you know,
where in the grand scheme of the
where in my network that I set up in my home lab, no one knows, but I'll find that out pretty soon after the stream. There we go. So let's go to I accept my fate. And then I'm going to use kubeadmin. So where's the kubeadmin password? There it is here. Kubeadmin. Paste. I think I have Come on.
Oh, wow. Braided Silver just said in chat, PG&E is announcing more rolling blackouts in the SF Bay Area.
Yeah.
God, so sorry, y'all. I wish 2020 was better on us.
Yeah. If there's something we could do about it, we would have.
We would do it. We would have done it already.
OpenShift TV would have been on top of it. Yeah, exactly. We would have been on top of it. So, So here, this is gonna be.
I'm looking forward to our show about installing generators in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding. Yeah.
How to cure your own meat. How to pickle vegetables.
That's another channel. Channel.
I'm going to use Argo to, so I'm just going to create an application. I'm going to call this blue green deployment, project default. I'm going to do manual sync policy because why not? And then repository URL. Good question. Luckily it gave me that option because I forgot to add it to Git. There's no GitOps without Git, right? So this will Git add.
No GitOps without Git.
Git commit-am. Oops, forgot to commit. Git push. This wouldn't have worked without Git. See, GitOps is already solving my problems because nothing happened unless I have it in Git, right? So that's the idea behind GitOps. Nothing happens unless it's in Git. So that wouldn't have worked.
All of your mistakes didn't happen because you didn't.
Exactly, because it wasn't in Git. So there we go. So now it's there.
The mistakes that make it into Git are there permanently.
Are there permanent? Yeah. And there's an audit trail, and we know all the mistakes
we know
you made.
where you live.
Yeah, we know where you live. In the default project repository URL. There we go. So I'm going to do this. Do test ops, and then let it load. So here I'm going to do. Why did I do that? I don't know if this is the worst stream ever or the best stream ever. I'm still trying to figure that out. Repository URL. There we go. Test ops path. I'm going to do blue. So note that I didn't do like the root and I didn't do the app. I did blue because I want to deploy this specific version or like directory, right? Yeah. So, and in there, if I go to, if you see here on the left side, so here, it's going to read the customization file. And then if I cat blue, apps blue customization. So it's going to come here and read the customization file. And it's going to, first thing it's going to see is going to, when the customize runs, it's going to say, okay, we'll read everything in base. So, going up one directory and reading base, that it's going to read all those, because up there, app base customization. Up there, it basically says, read up all these manifest files. Once it reads that, going back up to blue, it says, okay, once I read those in, patch it with everything that I told you to patch it with the route and the deployment. So that's very important, right? So I'm going to say, I want to deploy blue in this cluster. Default, there we go. And then destination URL, I'm just going to put it in this host here, and then create. Let's see what happens. I expect all of this to fail as this day is going. How the stream's going. I just
now that you say it, it won't happen, right? That's how this works, right? If you expect it to fail, it'll work.
It'll work. Yeah. So it's out of sync, right? Because it read the manifest. And I have the manual, right? So it didn't automatically sync it. It read it. It said, okay, well, you want these manifests here, but they're not on the cluster.
Right.
So you're out of sync. So let's just sync this. Synchronize. All right. So now it's going through it created the namespace. It created the service, the deployment, and the route. So if we go to, let's inspect some of it. While the replica set is trying to deploy the pod. So while that's going, let's look at some of the things we patched, right? We didn't patch the namespace or the service, so that should be the same. The deployment, right? The desired manifest here, it says, see, now instead of patch me, it says blue.
Nice.
Right? So because it ran that customize and it just patched that configuration file. Boom. And then the other thing we patched was the route, right? So let's look at the desired manifest here, and you see that instead of patch me, it says blue.apps.cluster1.oc, right? So this is still syncing here. Come on. This is a pretty big image for what it does. I've been meaning to refactor it. It's like it takes, it's like a huge,
what does it do? I mean,
it just display, you'll see it'll display a square, but it was originally
written. Such a big image for displaying a square? I mean, you can do that with a web server and a file, right? Like,
I can do that with HTML. Yeah, so
right, exactly.
Well, first I want to pull in all my, it's like one of those,
right? Like it's like I love static site generators, like I really do, but there's some that are just like, pull in the universe, and now you can generate a static site.
Yeah, now you can make a square.
There's this other one that like had it in one binary. What?
Yes. So now if I, now that that pod's running, let me do a new tab, and then this should display a blue square. We'll see. We'll see if it works. There it goes.
There
All right.
All right.
So now we have a blue square, right, in one cluster. Cool, right?
Nice.
So now we got that.
I like blue squares.
Blue squares is amazing.
Blue squares are going to take the internet by storm.
By storm. This is going to be the next big thing. Everyone's going to have a blue square.
Everyone's going to have. You get a blue square. I get a blue square. Everyone gets a blue square.
Yes, that's right. Langdon, I like Langdon, what you wrote in the chat. Like, I need to like wood color so I can just not,
Right. I think that would have reduced all of our problems if we didn't just have.
Yeah. We just knocked on wood. I'll refactor for that. So yeah, so now we have that deployment.
It'll be a smaller image with wood
it'll be very small.
And it'll float. It'll float.
Yeah. It'll be buoyant. Yeah.
If the power goes out, you can put it in the river.
That's right.
But then people will confuse it with a witch, of course.
Yes.
So fun times. So if I want to deploy this, right, on another cluster, except I need to change the route, right? Because another cluster will have a different route, and I want to deploy a green square instead of a blue square, right? So instead of creating the base all over again and having that deployment appear in having it like 2 times, right, in blue and green, deployment will just have it once. So it's actually as easy as if I do a CP of blue to green, right? So now I have a directory called green with all the stuff in there.
Nice.
And then take a look at the customization. Customization is actually the same file because what I want to do is I want to load everything in base and I want to patch it, right? So that file doesn't change.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. The deployment, I actually do want to change that, right? So I said I wanted green, right? This directory says green, it better say green. So I basically say, when you read in the deployment, patch this to green.
Cool.
And then the last thing is the route, right? So this is a different cluster. This is a different OpenShift cluster. So the route's going to be different. This will be conveniently titled, green, right?
Green.blue.
Not green.blue. Although that, I'll just say that might work. No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't.
and this is cluster 2, right?
Cool.
So
I was about to say, like, if you didn't have the different cluster address, right? Like, it would just be like a sed green blue done, right? Like
correct. Yeah. So that green blue,
or blue green,
blue green, whatever it is. But I have cluster 2 now instead of cluster 1, and green instead of blue, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Again, if it's not in Git, it doesn't exist. Git commit. We're going green.
Doing it live.
Git push.
Although we do not recommend ever using stars for git add, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Generally, no.
Generally, no. Generally, you want to add a specific thing.
It's funny. Like, we always say that, but we never actually do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I do it in prod, right? Like, I used to be very careful about it. Now it's like,
but the IDEs
my
do
box,
it,
like,
I'm pretty careful about it because doing git force push, kind of scares
Well, I
me.
never do git force push.
But I mean, to roll it back, right? If you screw it up and commit to it. I guess the other one for me is the -m on the command line. I always do that, but I recommend
I do that too. Yeah.
Oh, how funny!
People to actually pop an editor so that they actually write more comments.
Yeah, so they write better comments. It gives them a full editor so they can write better comments, kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, what's funny here? So, like, how I did bang bang bang, and I was like, I'm like that usually, that'll work, but it kind of sometimes it bites you in the butt because look, I did bang bang bang, but look how it appeared. It actually put in git add. It actually interpreted
it repeated.
The shell. Yeah.
It did the shell command.
You did double quote instead of single quote.
Yeah. I did a double quote instead of a single quote. But yeah, look at this commit message though. That's actually
get add.
It actually took those exclamation points.
The question is it the right number of git adds? Because I think it is 3 to 3, right? I think you just lucked out.
Yeah.
How funny. Yeah, going green, get out.
Wow. Okay. Oh man.
Fun times. So then I need the route to the OC get route -a grep argo.
Bash is a wonderful thing. Oh boy.
Bash is amazing.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm like yelling at my internet. It's like, you just have to last just,
just give me
10
5
more minutes. Just give me 5 more minutes here.
I mean, in all honesty, folks, like I have specifically designed like all the batteries and such in my house so that I can run the stream with the house not having power for about 30 minutes. Like that's how committed I am to this. But like that would involve me like turning some stuff off behind me, and like there'd be like a moment of chaos and like kind of some darkness, but these lights are battery operated, so everything would still look okay and still be working even if the power went out here. Like,
I know.
Like that is a level of dedication there.
I want one of those whole house UPSs essentially, where they basically run a bunch of car batteries through your house.
Yeah, but those
it also cleans power, which are also super nice.
Those are also incredibly expensive to maintain long term, right? Like
I haven't done that much research. Maybe I didn't think they were that bad.
So we had those kinds of UPSs in our like MDF locations at Pope Air Force Base, and if you're in a humid environment, or if you're in a warm environment, or even just a too cold environment, like all that affects the battery life cycle. And true, like we would have batteries expand inside UPS chassis. That would never be good. Right? Like that like really required some serious downtime. So you have to be careful with those things. But like, yeah, like I've been in the rooms, like if you go to like a big telco, like even a small telco like site where like you're just doing like DSL and voice and stuff, you'll see a room like full of batteries, and that's what's providing that 48 hertz or whatever over the phone line. And it's just like you just hear this like hum coming from some weird back room, and it's literally just like stacks of batteries row after row.
Bad times. You can't get ops that though. It's like battery : always up. Or don't explode. Don't explode equals true. Please don't explode in my wall.
Yeah, like one of those Tesla walls would be awesome, right? Like just put that in my office. Thank you. Done.
Yeah, done. Yeah. So we have here. So I'm going to deploy this in the cluster 2. Cluster 2, same repo, right? Except I'm going to point to green, obviously, right? So, and then this local cluster here, might as well do that and create. And then let me close this. I don't know why it does that. All right. So again, out of sync. So let's sync this guy. So let's take a look and see what happened here. The deployment, right? So the deployment in the cluster 2, because I'm in cluster 2 now. Let's go to the desired manifest. Here now the color changed to green, right? So I have one's blue, one's green, but only one deployment YAML that I needed to have, right? So I didn't need to have 2 separate deployment YAMLs to get this going. I patched that. The route, hopefully I did the right thing. Yep, green.
I like when you do right things.
Something has to go right. It doesn't all have to go wrong.
Right. It doesn't have to be a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a complete failure.
It could be like a small smoldering ash pile, right? Like
yeah, it could be, yeah, exactly. So we'll wait till this comes back up. But as you can already see, if you go here, let me actually go back. And do this here. As you can see here on the left-hand side, I have my base with all my customization says that basically this is my base configuration for this deployment, right? So everything that's common for my deployment. My blue directory, I basically reference my base and then do some patching. So I only have to define the deployment once, but then I can just patch it however I'd like, right? Same thing with green, right? So going from blue to green, you saw was as easy as copying that whole directory and just kind of changing a few parameters. Now I have 2 deployments, each with the same base deployment configuration, but different parameters, right? And I'm using Customize for this. You can use Helm for this. A lot of people use Helm for this as well. Let me see if this is deployed. Yeah, so now that this is deployed, come on, Come on, baby. No whammies, no whammies. Green, right? So now I have a green square. This guy has a blue square, blue, green.
Woohoo!
Woohoo, right?
Yeah, success.
One of the cool things, and like the last kind of thing I kind of wanted to go over. I know we have a little time because we started later due to various reasons.
We're gonna cut you a lot of slack today.
But there is one more thing.
6 more hours. 6 more hours.
6 more hours. Langdon's
so here,
going all night. Switching back.
Yeah. So if I go here, so I was in green. So here I'm in green, and if I look at my customization on line 2, right, this is referencing a directory. This actually doesn't have to be a directory. This could be a URL. So you can actually reference another Git repo, load in its base, and then
make your modifications.
So then what you can do is something like this, right? So so this is my main repo. Let me go to GitHub, and let's do. Come on, baby.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go to GitHub?
You want me?
This is what GitHub looks like.
Yeah, new repository. Yeah, so there's something wrong with GitHub's taking a while to load. It's like, oh man, like there's something wrong with my.
That's a very distributed service.
Yeah. I could use somebody explaining to me what GitHub looks like, because like every time I go back there, I swear to God, it has changed.
Something new. Yeah,
lately. They keep moving things around.
2020, GitHub changes every day. Yeah.
So here I'm gonna create a new repo.
Humpty squat.
I was gonna say Langdon all night. Right.
That repo already exists, I think.
Well, this is available. Public. Okay, yeah. Let's do the same thing as we did over here. Come on, baby. Go. All right. So let's clone this. So what I'm gonna do here, I was gonna split the panes again, but I don't know if that even makes it readable.
Split a third time? Oh no.
Yeah.
That.
Let's do attach, and then let's quit out of this here. Instead of test ops, let's go git clone. Langdon all night long.
And that's a good song you can get stuck in your head.
Landed all night long. Yeah, I'd write this.
I already put the Blues Clues link in the.
Oh, did you? Yeah, exactly. So here, I'm gonna create a directory called app. Right.
My youngest son the other day discovered that apparently there is a Rickrolling bot for Discord.
Is there? There we go. We need to look into that.
So yeah, we should definitely investigate.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Trolls and Rickrolls would be great.
Well, we can use it for good. We can put in.
We can Rickroll the trolls.
We can use our powers for good. So I'm going to create here. So basically the same. I should actually do this. I'm starting to run out of room here. Twitch. And we call this test ops app. I'll just take green. And then we'll copy it here. All right. So here I'll have the deployment. Right. We'll test my theory. We'll do wood color, like Landon says. And then let's VI route, right? And then the route for my other cluster is apps, and then, oops. All right, so here we'll do wood color, right? In my third cluster, right? The only difference here is it's Vim here. So I'm gonna do wood color. And then, but for my resources, instead of doing base, I'm actually doing this off the cuff here. I'm going to do app base, right? So I'm going to paste that here.
This is cool.
Right. So here I'm going to say I'm just going to reference the app base from another another repo, right? And then I'm going to do wood color for the route. Make sure that's cluster 3. Yeah. So I do git add, git commit -am. Just do a single quote this time. First, git push.
I'm gonna laugh if it still like does it anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
some
exactly.
weird thing double quotes it on the back end in GitHub or something.
Yeah. So I have the Langdon all night. Right. So I have wood color, right, and then all the. So I did do first. Okay. So
Yeah,
single quotes if you're gonna use exclamation points. So let's open up yet another Argo instance. Git route. It's when you're like your kubectl get takes a while to load. I know something's wrong on my network. I just don't know what. I need to actually like literally reboot everything.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, is a packet storm happening? What is about to happen if I don't do something? Remember back in the old days when we had to use like hubs? And like you would have like a network card like go flaky all of a sudden, and like it would just destroy your network.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
a broadcast storm or something. God, it was awful.
Or even later, like you get that spanning tree.
The spanning tree stuff was even worse because that would happen like
still better than token ring.
That's true.
Yes,
yes.
very true.
That's very true.
I remember one time there was a spanning tree storm across the entire Air Force Base I was stationed at because somebody accidentally missed one line in a copy paste, and it was just like, oh no.
Man.
It was a nightmare.
Well, and also the like a lot of times you're consoled in, so like you still see things pasting. You're like,
right?
Like, is it okay to cancel this?
Yeah.
So this should here, so this here again, BGD project.
It's switching to itself.
Repository
It's
URL.
like taking a surge protector and being like plug it into itself. Why didn't it work?
But at least it's protected.
Right.
App wood color. Oh my gosh, put in this cluster.
I don't know what you do where you are that has 300 IoT devices.
What happened here, Christian? Lately? Like it's getting.
Right.
It's getting
I do have 50 devices on my network right now as of
right.
last count.
It's ridiculous.
So I got an error. Customization. I believe
you forgot to tap the wood first.
No, I forget. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Git add. Git commit. I think it doesn't like the HTTPS : // YAML doesn't like colons inside their things, I guess.
Sorry about that. You have removed the colon.
You removed the colon. Colon is removed. Although I think you need colon, but
I mean,
I'm actually doing this. I'm actually doing like yes. I'm actually doing this live. This should work.
If you couldn't tell.
Yeah. There we go.
I think I can. I think I can.
I think I can.
I thought I could.
There we go.
Not to encourage your git adding technique, but you don't need the git add -a. You can either just do star, or you could just do, because git commit -a means collect everything and commit it.
Yeah.
So just being extra careful.
Yeah. No, actually, yeah. I just do screw everything, add everything. I could do star.
Yeah.
I was.
There's a lot of bad ways you can use git. Yeah. You could use a rebase command too and do the exact same thing.
I've messed myself up with the rebase.
The fact that Linus said that everything you can do in Git is possible with a rebase command just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, please update the man page to reflect that.
So yeah, exactly.
The book must be written in terms of rebase.
Right.
Yeah. So here, let me sync this because I did manual sync. So here I did the Langdon all night repo here, and I just have app wood color, and I only have the 3 manifests, right? The customize, the deployment, and route. But even so, it created the namespace, it created the service, it created everything, just because in that wood color customization file, I said, for your base, and go to this Git repo. So this lends itself to a lot of interesting use cases, right? You can have like a base deployment of your application, and then others can then just take that and patch it and then make it do whatever it needs to do in other repos. Or you can have like a centralized configuration. So like on the admin side, right? Like you can have a centralized configuration that's the same across all your clusters, except maybe in this cluster you want to add like an extra user or an extra service account for something else, or an extra application, right? You can take the base of this repo and further customize it, right? Literally and figuratively, like with the play on words and everything, right? You can customize it with a customizer, or just customize it just however you like, right? You just have that same base config, and you just reference that in your customization in your resources, right? So here I can actually, in the resources, since it's an array, I can add another entry, and I say, well, and also load a job, right? Like if I want to create a job, like let's see how that looks like. How to sample a job. I should probably be more specific. Sample a job Kubernetes. Here we go. So let's go, just do that real quick. As long as let's just do this here. Is that valid? We don't know. We'll see. So in wood color, we'll do job, right? And then in here, customization, we can do job.yaml. Is that what I called it? Yeah. So here in my customization file, I say, read that base. Oh, and by the way, I have an extra configuration for this BGD application. So I do a git add star for Langdon, git commit -am, adding job, git push, and then where it is, there we go. This should say add a sync pretty soon. Refresh. There we go. It says add a sync. There's a job pending, right? So let's sync it. Right. So then in the customized file, now it's running the job, right? So in the customized file, right, you can see that with very little YAML, I can start, have a base YAML. With very little YAML, I can actually start deploying this application and making modifications to it. So, so you can have a base deployment and deploy it to multiple clusters, each cluster having its own individual parameters, or whatever customization you want to make. So it's in the name, right? Customization. I think they named it right with a K, obviously, because it's Kubernetes thing. So
and cool.
We're getting cool with the K. Cool with the K.
Cool with the K.
So here, let's actually test my app, because here, if I did desired manifest, it says wood color. It's still deployed. So let's see here. Where's the route? Oh, now I heard the dog. I don't know whose dog that was. I think maybe Chris's.
His mind dog.
Oh, he wants to play.
No, fan zone.
Oh, okay. So blue. So it shows up blue, right? So then, yeah, it just defaults to blue if it doesn't understand the color. So, so yeah. So this is just kind of like a high level kind of like customization 101. You don't need to do. You don't need to do it all with like Argo with the sync tool, right? Like you don't need Argo or Flux or whatever, right? Because it's actually built in. You can do, customize build, right? I'm going to customize build everything here, and it actually does it for you here. See, there you go. It just spits it out, right? So you can just do it locally. You do customize build. Notice how it says spec host wood color, right? And so you can just do it locally with customize, right? So you can do, and you can even like pipe this right into kubectl create -f, So you can actually play with this and see what it looks like even before committing it to Git. I should probably mention that earlier. Should probably test it.
You should test to Git. Prior to committing, yes.
Well, a lot of times, like you're doing demonstrations and, you're kind of fiddling with things. Like you forget, oh, by the way, the best practice is don't do it this way.
I think we need to break that practice from your practices. Let's get more best practices in your GitOps.
Yeah. So cool. So, is there? I haven't been keeping track of the chat, so I don't know if there's any.
Langdon has been.
Okay, because I don't know if there's any.
For the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we're covered, I think.
Yeah, unless anybody wants to bring up a question now, but
yeah, I mean, feel free to ask away with your questions if you got any.
Ask away with questions or opinions, right? So this is kind of the way I've been using Kustomize. Way a lot of me and the folks here at Red Hat, or the group formerly known as the Argonauts, our GitOps practice here. We've been kind of using this for our own, even demos when we build demos. So some of the essays have started, shout out to the Canadian Red Hatters, have been starting to build their demos just based on this practice of hey, we have a core component,
right?
And everyone kind of just takes their spin on it, but they don't have to keep forking and copying the same repo. They just kind of just use Kustomize to load
import it, done.
Yeah, import it, done.
Beautiful.
So yeah, this is kind of how we've been using it. So I don't know if anyone has an opinion or even Langdon, right? Langdon running you're running the level up hour, right? How do you think admins would take
benefit
to
from
having having a base config that people can then expand on?
Well, honestly, I mean, PaaS these days, right? It's such a kind of bad word. But in so many ways, that's, I think, a really good way for admins and developers to communicate, in the sense of, here's your available tool chain, Mr. Ms. Developer, please consume from this pool. So I think anything like that where the admin can kind of say, here's the story, or here's the platform, here's the environment,
here's the happy path,
right? Well, the flip side of it, speaking as somebody who spent a long time in development as well, is as a developer, one of the reasons I would choose Red Hat products right before I worked for Red Hat was because I knew in advance I wouldn't have to go have a fight with the admin team about getting it deployed, right?
That's true.
So if you tell me in advance you can use Python 3.7 but not Python 3.8, but yes to Python 3.9, or whatever,
for whatever reason.
Somehow.
So I don't think it's been released yet, so that makes it harder. But then at least I'll have constrained choices, and if I run into a problem, then I can discover the problem and say, oh, I really need this thing from blah blah blah. And let's discuss it, and we can give you 3 months as an admin to go and investigate whether it's a good idea or not, without. So I think anything like that where you can kind of say, here's the environment in which you can play, that is clear and concise and is modifiable, through negotiation, basically, is a lot better than, what I think is a lot of the time is, admins kind of rely on developers to keep track of what they're comfortable putting in production, which, developers are like, whatever, put anything in production. So.
Well, you actually did, you touched on an interesting thing, and I think it's worth reiterating. I'm doing it maybe every episode, is that change can happen, right? And you do have that communication and that chain. It's code review, really, right? Because GitOps is all Git driven, and a lot of the times the admins don't understand, or they just don't know, right? They're just ignorant. I come from an ops background, is that no, there's actually a process that happens when coders, right? Coders don't just throw anything up there, right? You submit a PR, and that gets reviewed, that gets changed multiple times. How many times did you submit a PR? And the what you submit and what gets merged is completely different, right? Right. And that's essentially the same workflow. We're taking that same workflow, bringing it to an ops, right? you know, just because you're putting it on Git, just because people can make changes doesn't mean you don't have control, right?
Right.
Because, you know, someone can make a PR to, you know, the base, like, right, I created this base, you know, the test ops, someone can submit a PR to permanently change the scale, right? Like the deployment, instead of deployment 1 to 10, but I can look at that as a maintainer and say no, or justify it, or no, it needs review, or you need to go through, you know, X, Y, Z, whatever, right? Like just because them submitting a PR doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? So,
well, and it's also a really good way to get like kind of automatic frequently asked questions in a sense. So you have two kinds of things. One, you can see all the rejected PRs and why they were rejected, right? Or you know, and the changes that didn't happen. And then also you can write bots around the kinds of changes you don't want to make, right? Or don't think are a good idea at this time, or whatever.
Unsafe changes or something. Yeah.
You know, so your bots don't have to be limited to things that are like, you know, review and merge kind of bots, right? They can be for lots of other things. You know, they can be for stylistic choices. They can be for, you know, whatever. So, you know, so I just think kind of putting all of that information in kind of machine readable ways, and then putting it in public, whether the public is internal to your organization or literally public, means that there's so many different things that you can decorate that with workflows, with bots, with, you know, whatever, that really changes the relationships within the organization between all those humans who are trying to work together.
Yeah, and it's less, and like, and you hit the nail on the head there, right? Is like, it's more, the more communication, right? You know, the GitOps, you know, enables that DevOps relationship that you want, whereas it's less
without meetings.
Exactly.
Without meetings.
Meeting, without the Zoom fatigue, right? Less about throwing code over the fence and more about, you know, having, you know, the operation, having all eyes that are involved, that are stakeholders in your organization, having those eyes on it and knowing that a change was made, right? Like there was times in my history where a change was made and I didn't, as an operations guy, didn't know what, you know, stuff was going down. I didn't know that there was a change made, so I didn't know how to troubleshoot, right? Whereas if you're in a Git workflow in GitOps, the idea is that all eyes are on it, meaning that it's completely visible what's going on in your environment, and you have the trail of why, right?
Well, and the change may be actually not even known by anybody, right? So, you know, as we, you know, as I can't remember, Newton, whoever it was that said, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants, right? I mean, when we drop a modern web application into production, there's probably literally millions of lines of code in there, right? And all of the library expansion, et cetera, it's just happening kind of dynamically. The problem with that, obviously, is that, you know, library X just got updated and is needed by everything else, and now everything is broken. If you're being explicit and monitoring those changes, then everybody, you know, kind of everybody wins, right? Because lots fewer times does everything go sideways, only when you get to production.
Yep. So, cool. Is there anything else here?
Everyone, nah. Chat has been quiet. Folks have been logging off slowly but surely. So I think it's time to call this one good finally.
Yeah, the fatigue is settling in. It's actually happy hour. I think I need another one.
Yeah, I need a lot of them now. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate you sticking with us through our technical difficulties at the beginning, and we hope you learned something new today. If you have an idea for a show or questions about GitOps, please let us know. You can reach out to me, cshort@redhat.com, at Chris Short on Twitter, Christian H814 on Twitter, right? Yes. That I memorized your Twitter handle.
Or Christian@redhat.com. Yes, I got that email. So.
Wow, good for you. Wow.
Isn't that is that the area code, LA?
814 is my birthday. So you now owe me.
So now I never.
Everyone on the stream now owes me a birthday gift. They know what my birthday is.
I had no idea you were so young. I mean, like that makes you like 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
August of 2014.
Of 2014, yeah.
Well, yes. Hey, I was close. See,
you were close.
818.
Yeah.
818. Yeah. Four more numbers. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks here. Same. Oh, the right time.
The right time.
Same channel.
Yeah. Hopefully these blackouts aren't scheduled where others power.
Yeah. Hopefully these the power outages stay away from Christian.
That's right.
But stay safe out there, everyone. Seriously, we hope you're well. And yes, you can run WordPress on OpenShift at scale and dynamically. We can talk about that more in chat. So yeah, join our Discord if you haven't yet. And this link should work now better, folks. So feel free to join the Discord to continue the conversation. And if you're interested in what's going on tomorrow, check out the calendar. We have a couple shows. It looks like we have one show tomorrow.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. That's right. Weaving safety into the fabric of open source collaboration with Emma Irwin from Mozilla. It'll be a good one. So yeah, great. Thank you to Diane for OpenShift Commons briefing, like bringing Emma on. That's going to be a great show. The link is to the calendar, so I will drop that here. So add the invite to your calendar, and you too shall know when to turn on. Oh, I sent that to the wrong network. Daggone
you can just leave it open all day, and then
that's true. Yeah.
And then you definitely won't miss it.
You definitely won't miss it. Yeah,
just leave it on. Won't miss it. Just turn it on. Leave it on all day long. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't want to know your coworkers or anything.
Langdon all night.
That's why you have headphones.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's why you have
headphones. Yeah. Never mind that meeting you have to join. The live stream's more important.
You can share it, in the meeting.
All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.